Hi there, welcome to Kneppyinvest. I don't usually follow Select Harvests, an almond growing company on the ASX. In fact, it is one of the largest almond growing companies in the world. I don't usually follow the fortunes of this company too closely. It's a commodity company. So the fortunes of Select Harvest is dependent on the price of the product they are selling, which is almonds. So it's just like a mining company. And I don't really follow those sort of commodity-based companies all that closely. However, in saying that, the other day I did read something really interesting that did perk up my interest in regards to this company. And it was all about what's happening in California right now in their almond pollinating season, which typically occurs in February and March. And right now they're experiencing the worst conditions they have ever experienced. Now, maybe the farmers are being a little bit hyperbolic, but they did say this is the worst they've ever seen it because it is cooler and wetter, and the bees they use to pollinate just don't like those sort of conditions. So that did perk up my interest in Select Harvest because when you look at the share price and the chart and the valuation of this company right now, it is fairly low. And the reason it's fairly low is because where the almond prices have been at the last or during the last 2 years, they've been fairly low. So what's happening in California right now might be beneficial and should be beneficial for Select Harvest in the next year, maybe even longer. And then Select Harvest released a business update on March the 21st, 2023. And on first read, this was not a good business update. So I decided to do a video on this particular company and the business update, and also have a look at what's happening in the almond sector. I did a video on Select Harvest about 2 or 3 years ago, and I do know this company a little bit, but as I mentioned before, I don't follow this company all too closely. And this is a slide I did use in that video. So some of this information might be a little bit outdated, but if it is outdated, it won't be by much. Now, Select Harvest is a vertically integrated nut and health food company. So they grow the almonds. They also have products they sell that uses the almonds they also grow, hence vertically integrated. Now, it says here they are the second largest global almond producer. I've also read recently they are the third largest. So either the second or third largest. They're still one of the largest almond producers in the world. Have about 23 acres of almond orchards. That could be a little bit higher now. Maybe it could be a little bit lower. And of course, they produce all types of almond products, including the Lucky, Sunsold, and New Vitality brands. This is another slide I used in that previous video I recorded on Select Harvest, just to show you that there is a correlation between almond prices and Select Harvest share price, because it's just like a mining company, just like, say, Fortescue. Fortescue's share price will go up and down depending on the price of iron ore. And of course, that's definitely true for almond prices. When you do any sort of research on this company, you always have to look at where almond prices are right now. And to be honest with you, they are hard to find. There is some information out there, and I'll show you some information I did get in regards to almond prices. But be aware that there is a correlation between Select Harvest share price and almond prices. This is a commodity-driven company. Now to what's happening in the almond world. This comes from Mintech. They do track almond prices. So they have a Mintech benchmark price for standard 5% almonds, Mintech code LNAL1 in US dollars and Euro dollars. And it's also measured in United States dollars per pound or euros per pounds. I'm pretty sure almonds or Select Harvest mentioned the price of almonds in Australian dollars per kilo, which is just above $7 right now. Anyway, this is the almond prices over the past 3 or so years, and the almond prices have just rebounded off their 20-year low. And over the past few months, we have started to see almond prices rebound really nicely. Not only have they rebounded really nicely, right now they're about 11-month high. Now, this particular article was released only 4 days ago. Yeah, I was doing this reading on almond prices only 4 days ago. And there was some really interesting commentary within this article from Mintech. So let's have a look at that commentary that got me a little bit interested to see how Select Harvest fortunes were going right now. And the commentary that I was really interested in was around the potential future almond prices. And I'm just going to quote you this directly from this particular article from MinTech. A succession of storms and cold weather over bloom, the period during which almond trees are pollinated, typically occurring in mid-February and mid-March. And for those who don't know, they've had a record snow season in California. Record snow down and up the coast. I do have a colleague who is going to be hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. He's going to be leaving soon, and more than likely he won't be able to go. He starts down in near Mexico, and he'll have to skip a few sections and go back to do those sections later on in his hike because the snow there won't melt until much later than usual because this is a record snow season. So again, a succession of storms and cold weather have affected the pollination, and that has limited bee hours and led to damage to trees and orchids. One handler of the bees stated, the bees have had so little time to fly, some of them seem to be starving in their hives. I know people say there isn't a strong correlation between bee hours and yield, but I haven't seen conditions this bad for this long before during bloom. This sentiment was repeated extensively by Mintech's industry contacts, with one almond exporter describing the situation as the worst conditions for bloom I've ever seen in the decades I've worked in this industry. So this could have an effect, a positive effect. And when I say positive effect on almond prices, I'm talking about in regards to select harvest. So if we do see almond prices continue to rise, continue the trend they're on right now, you might and should see select harvest share price continue to rally if it's rallying. But then again, we get to that business update the company did release, the share price actually fell. So what caused the share price to fall when Select Harvest released their business update? So things are going absolutely perfectly, seemingly, for Select Harvest when it comes to the Californian crop. But then the company released this negative business update. The company advises that the 2023 almond crop volume is expected to be lower than initially forecast. Select Harvest understands this trend to generally be consistent across the Australian almond industry. So it looks like there's going to be a pretty bad crop in California. It looks like the current crop of almonds in Australia is going to be lower than usual. The financial impact of this volume downgrade should be somewhat offset by global almond prices starting to rise. So that previous graph I did show you, almond prices are starting to rise, driven by increased key export market activity, strong recent US and Australian shipment reports, and inclement weather conditions impacting the US 2023 crop plume process, as I showed you in that MinTech commentary thingy in the previous slide. The reduction in volume for these almonds is due to a combination of the previously communicated poor bloom period, which I did think they communicated that about 2 months ago, and unusually colder and wetter conditions throughout the growing season. So not only is California experiencing colder and wetter conditions, Australia has experiencing colder and wetter conditions. So probably the best way to look at this is so long La Nina. So more than likely, these cold and wetter conditions in Australia have been caused by La Nina. If we go into an El Nino, more than likely it's going to be warmer and drier conditions. And that might be beneficial to almond growing. Before we get to the chart for Select Harvest, a weekly chart over the past 10 years, very interesting chart. And you can just see how the Select Harvest share price performance is dependent, maybe not quite wholly dependent on almond prices, but you will see the share price swing higher and lower with almond prices. Now on to their financial year 22 numbers. They released their financial results in November. So their financial season is a little bit different than most companies on the ASX. They will release their half-year results in May. So we're about a month and a half away from that. Not a month and a half, 2 months away from that. Now, in this particular presentation slide they had in their results in November, it's just putting their financial year 22 results in context. Looking the last 5 years in almond volume, fair value almond prices, total almond production costs, and profit. And even though almond volumes have been increasing, the performance of this company is going to be highly dependent on two things: almond prices and almond production costs. And almond prices have been falling over the past few years, falling from $8.60 per kilogram to $6.80 per kilogram. And even almond production costs have been rising as well. So this company's best season or best year over the last 5 years was back in 2019 when they had $53 million of profit. And that was when almond prices were $8.60 and almond production costs down its lowest point at $4.73. In the last few years, the worst 2 years in terms of almond prices, and we have seen a corresponding decrease in profit as well. Not only have we seen almond prices decreasing, almond production costs have been rising. So you might argue the best time to buy these sort of companies is at the bottom of the cycle. And potentially we are at the bottom of the cycle when it comes to Select Harvest and almond prices. Now onto the weekly chart for Select Harvest. And this is the weekly chart going back to 2012. I've also overlaid the producer price index for almonds via FRED, which is the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Now, I'm going to talk about what's happened the last year a bit, but let's go back to the period between 2012 and 2015. Definite correlation between almond prices, or the producer price index for almonds, and Select Harvest share price. In fact, the Select Harvest share price went from $1 in 2012 to a high of $13.50 in the middle of 2015. That's a nice 13 bagger during that period of time. And during that period of time, almond prices went higher, just consistently went higher, and reached a record high in 2015, and then started to fall, and we saw a corresponding drop in Select Harvest share price. So there definitely does seem to be a correlation between Select Harvest share price and this producer price index for almonds, until we get to the last about year and a half, where we have seen the producer price index for almonds go on a little bit of a run while Select Harvest share price has fallen. But the last year and a half for this producer price index for almonds is sort of contradicting that Mintech chart we saw for almond prices, where we've only seen almond prices starting to rally in the last few months, and the record low, what was it, a 20-year low, was only reached about 2 or 3 months ago. So I don't know what's happening in the last 2 years here, but if we go back between 2013 and about 2021, definite correlation between Select Harvest share price and this producer price index from FRED. Probably the other thing I should mention here is I do have this horizontal line right at about $3.80, and that seems to be a very strong support level for Select Harvest. We saw the share price get to that level back in 2016, 2017, and the share price rallied. We also have seen it get to that level the last few months when we saw record low almond prices. And even today, on March the 21st, the share price fell below that level, $3.80. In fact, it fell to $3.60. But we have seen a nice rally, intraday rally in Select Harvest share price. So a lot of demand has come in buying Select Harvest share price. So no doubt, this level between about $3.60 and $3.80 is a strong support level for this company. Talking about an intraday rally for Select Harvest share price, this is their 1 minute chart. And you can see where the trading began for Select Harvest today. Share price was down significantly, probably down about 10% or near 10%. And in that first 15 to 20 minutes, there was a fair bit of selling. Share price got as low as $3.60 after about 10 or 15 minutes of trading. And then there was a nice rally in the share price. In fact, the share price closed at $4.05, up 10%. More than 10% from its lows in the day. And more than likely, one of the reasons for this rally is because the share price was at that really strong support level. So you're going to have those long-term traders, or even short-term traders, who see the share price of this company get to that support level and will buy because it's a low-risk entry point. And I think that's one of the reasons. Another reason I think there was a bit of a rally in the share price today was because those who were selling on open just saw the negativity in the business update, didn't see any of the positive signs moving forward for the company. And definitely there is positive signs, particularly with what's happening in California. And they did try to express those positive things in their commentary. And I think those two reasons, the share price at a support level and what's happening in California right now in regards to almonds, that's why the share price rallied after that initial negative reaction from the market. That's all I have for this business update, looking at Select Harvest, one of the largest almond growers in the world. I think last time I did a video on this company, I kept pronouncing the company as almonds. No, not the company. I kept pronouncing the nut. Well, it's technically not a nut, but I kept pronouncing almonds or almonds as almonds. Now, hopefully, I pronounced the name of this nut correct throughout this video. If I did not, don't hold anything against me. That's just something I do sometimes, pronounce things wrong. And if you do have any questions about select harvest, questions about almonds, if you are an almond grower, I'd love to hear from you. So you can leave anything you want to say in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I am not a financial advisor. If you do need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.